Okay, trig review, everybody. If you haven't taken trig, well, then it's time to learn trig. So let's do this. So first up, we got three types of triangles here: a right triangle, oblique triangle, and oblique triangle again. You're like, wait a second, why are there two oblique triangles? Well, in one case, there's only acute angles. Acute angles means that they are less than 90. So that one's less than 90, that one's less than 90, and that one's less than 90. In an obtuse triangle, one of these is more than 90, while the other two are less than 90. So that's the important thing here. But if you want to do statics, if you want to do any sort of real physical, real like physics work, you're going to have to understand trigonometry, because we're going to learn about eventually something called vectors. I have a force, and it's going to have some sort of angle, which is shown with that little symbol right there, and it's going to have a magnitude. And the way I figure out where that's going is I break it up into components. One component going up, which we usually call the y component, and one component going to the right or the left, which is called the x component. And what that looks like suddenly is a triangle. So if I know how to solve triangles, I can solve those kinds of problems. So let's go ahead and look over our trig functions, and then we'll continue forward. Cool? We're going to focus on the right triangle, so this guy to start. And boy, I have those things on lock right there. Okay. So first off, here's a right triangle. There's different trig functions, and they're all built around ratios that we find in right triangles. Now, one of the angles in a right triangle is always 90 degrees. That's what we show with this little square in the corner. Now, if we're going to jump into trig, though, let's look at the different trig functions that we're going to use. So first off, triangles have three angles, A, B, and C. And all of our trig functions are based around those angles as well as the different sides. Now, when we're doing our trig functions, we have to give the sides of the triangle, the lowercase a, b, and c, names. Those names are adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse. So for this angle B, this one is adjacent because it is right next to it. This one is the opposite side because it is away from it. It's over here. It's opposite of B. You can kind of think about it, if you're trying to think about it, put the triangle and make it into a little hat or something. The angle's at the top of the hat, and the opposite is at the bottom of the hat, okay? You might have to turn your screen or turn your page just to see that, but it helps. Now, what's hypotenuse for B? Well, it's always the longest side, okay? That is the hypotenuse for B, and it's the same for all three angles. Okay. Now, if I had angle A, this side right here would now be the adjacent because it's directly touching A. You can see how that line actually intersects A. And this side right here would be opposite to it because it is not touching A. So there's lots of different ways to think about this. But those names are important. Those names are very important to helping you understand how we solve these problems, because we're going to give you some functions, and those functions are all based on the different sides. And that's the hypotenuse for both, as I said. Okay, now the first trig equation we're going to learn is called Pythagorean Theorem. It simply states that for a right triangle, and only a right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's taking the sides right here and saying how they're related. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So if you know two sides of a right triangle, you can find the third. And the cool thing is you can actually do this, like in real life, you can choose this. Because a squared and b squared, well, it's like I was squaring the side. That would be a rectangle. Sorry, it's a square. If I were to make just two containers, something like this. I was to fill, let's see if I can make this work right. I was to fill both of these with water, okay, so they're just completely filled with water. And then I was to turn it and let the water go into here. The amazing thing I would see is that this one would completely fill with water based on what was going in there. You could build this if you had some tanks. Don't take your time to do it if you don't want to, but it is a cool thing. But you know what? Here, I want to give you 10 points extra credit if you can actually physically show me Pythagorean Theorem, okay? 10 points extra credit. It's here in the video. This will be for all time now. So try it out. It's pretty cool. Okay. So let's see if you figured out the Pythagorean Theorem, if you can do it together, okay? So here's our right triangle. If A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 4, then what is the length of C? Well, let's try that out. So first off, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Okay, I got that. Whoa! And so then we have 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. Okay, so C squared equals 25. And then C would therefore be equal to the square root of 25, which is 5. Happy days, we got our answer. So you see how we solve this. We write down our equation, we plug in our numbers, and we solve from there. Okay, let me get this out of the way because I got more stuff to put on the screen. There you go. Now, for this previous problem, what is the length of the adjacent side for angle B? Well, first off, let's go to our picture here and go ahead and replace it with numbers. Okay, this is angle B. This is the adjacent side because it is going directly through, if I draw a line, through B. So the answer would be 3. Not too bad. We got this. Okay, if A is 7.5 and C is 12, then what is the length of B? So, a little bit harder this time. Let's see if we can get it to work. So first off, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Okay, I've got that. Now let's go ahead and plug our numbers in. And I don't actually know what 7.5 squared is off the top of my head, so I'm having to plug in my calculator right here. There we go. Yes, I can do a whole lot of math, but that's not something I want to try to do. Okay, so what I get then is that 56.25 plus B squared is equal to 144. Okay, so B squared is going to be equal to, I subtract 56.25 from both sides, and I get 87.75. And so therefore B is going to be equal to the square root of 87.75. That's a 7. And what does that come out to be? Let's find out. Okay, it equals 9.36. Got my answer. So we can keep on going through these and solve them one by one. I'm going to finish all these with you, and then we'll stop for here and we'll go on to the next video next time. Okay. It says, for the previous problem was the length of the opposite side for angle A. My goodness, okay. So first off, A is right here. This is 7.5. C is 12, okay. And we have 9.37 here. And this is angle A, and opposite is over on the opposite side. So I mean that would be 7.5. Okay, let's keep on going through. We got a few more to do. These aren't too bad. So B is 2 inches and C is equal to 4 feet. What is the length of A? Okay, B is 2. C is 4. What is the length of A? I want you to know something. We made a horrible mistake just now. You know what it is? Did you notice the units? That's feet, that's inches. So it wasn't actually C is equal to 4, it's C is equal to 48, because that would have been 4 times 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot. So in that case, what is the length of A? Whew, it's going to be pretty big, honestly. So I'll go ahead and solve that. So what we have then is we're going to have A squared plus B squared, which is 2 squared, is equal to 48 squared. So I'm going to plug this in my calculator. So 2 squared, I know that's 4. And 48 squared is 2,304. So A squared equals 2,300. A would therefore be equal to the square root of 2,300. Which comes out to be 47.9. Like I said, it's pretty big. It's pretty close to being the same as C. Okay, so we got that one done. Oh. So that's where we're going to stop for today. Thank you all for listening. Please practice your Pythagorean Theorem, and this is an equation definitely to memorize. At the very least, write it down and keep it near you. Next time we'll go into some other trig identities. Have an absolutely wonderful day, everybody. Bye.